Hey guys, and very welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Today's guest is Gemma Gallagher, an award-winning visual artist bringing contemporary creativity from Ireland to Dubai. Her art has been sold in London, Dublin and New York. And in 2024, she was recognised as the Artist of the Year by The Independent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. Excited to have you.
So how did you discover your passion for art?
You know what? It was from when I was a really young child. I used to sit at home, draw, play around with like colours and stuff, and I always just really loved art. And I think from a young age I kind of knew deep down it was going to be my career in some shape or form. Then I went through the education system and my teachers really wanted me to go into law, but thankfully I had very supportive parents and they were like, you know what, you would be a terrible lawyer if you want to do art, go and do it properly. And I was like, right. So I moved to London when I was 19 to go to art college there. And then that's been my journey ever since. I started selling paintings professionally since I was about 18, 19 with galleries. And yeah, worked kind of between Dublin and London. And then I moved here 10 years ago and took advantage of all the opportunities that we have here.
Love that, supportive parents.
Yeah, lucky.
We throw around words like contemporary, but for people who haven't seen your art, can you describe your art to the masses?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who doesn't really know the art terms, modern art is anything in the last century, but contemporary art is art that is being made now by artists that are alive today and making art in the here and now. My art, I typically work with oil paintings. I've experimented a little bit over the years, but I think as an artist, and most artists will relate to this, your art changes as you change. So you take inspiration from like what's going on in the world, what's going on in your life. So it has progressed a lot over the years. But for me, yeah, it's just, I mean, you can see in the background some of it. In the last few years, I'd say since COVID, it's taken a very colourful and decorative form. And for me, the reason I went that direction was because it was a tough time during COVID. And the work that I used to make was, I guess, a little bit more deep because it was more social political work. And at that time, I just needed a form of escapism. So creating art became my therapy. It became my form of escapism, and it started to become a lot more colourful and decorative in that way. But now I can kind of feel myself going towards the other direction. So it changes as you change.
Right.
So would you say your art is a reflection of your personal feelings, basically?
For sure. Yeah, like even in some of the work that you'll see on my Instagram, like it looks very colourful and it looks, you know, nice to look at, but it's actually all symbolic of the emotions that you're going through at the time. And there's sort of conceptual symbolism in like what the animal represents, what the person represents, what the figure represents within the artwork. And when you see the titles and you talk to the artist, you'll always kind of delve a bit deeper into the concept behind the work.
Can we ask about one though? The one behind us, the tiger and the...
Yeah, so this is kind of marking the transition between the work that I made sort of during and post-COVID and the work that I used to make. This piece, it's unfinished in this photo, but it's finished now. It's called Conflict of Interest, and it's actually a very personal piece because it's about my kind of, I guess, my personal inner conflict between the very safe and beautiful life that we have here in Dubai, and then looking at what's going on in the rest of the world. Like if we look to Palestine, if we look to other countries that are experiencing genocide and civil conflict, it's like that inner conflict between you want to do something and you feel really strongly about what's going on in the world, but then also you want this safe life for yourself, and it's like, how do you manage that internal conflict? So the woman, it's not exactly a self-portrait, but there's like a woman that's kind of like a bit lost, and then there's a woman who's kind of turned away, but she's looking, and there's like conflict and tension between them. And tigers and leopards represent escapism, so that's kind of like that kind of trying to escape from the world in that piece as well.
Oh wow, I love this. Is it complete now? Like we can find it somewhere?
It will be posted on my Instagram this week.
Oh, can't wait to see it.
On my website as well.
How do you know when something's truly complete? Do you have a bit of a perfectionism there, or are you kind of black and white?
It's so hard. Sometimes you want to keep working on a piece and you keep working on it, and then you're like, I should have stopped last week. Sometimes I feel like you know it. Sometimes it's kind of hard actually. Sometimes you do a piece and you're like, right, that's it, it's finished, and you just feel that the piece has resolved itself and you're happy with it. And then other times, like I look at it and I'm like, I actually kind of prefer how it was when it was kind of a work in progress and a little bit more of an organic, like unfinished, like unperfect feel to it. But yeah, that's the struggle of being an artist.
Absolutely, I'd say so.
Definitely, as an artist, I'm sure you've went through a creative block, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? How do you come out of it?
It's tricky, but I think that you have to accept that when you're an artist, and that can be a visual artist, a writer, a musician, you're going to make some bad art or some bad pieces before you can really crack something that you're like really happy with, where you're like, right, this is me really doing what I do best. So I have to just remind myself, even if I have a creative block, and it happens all the time, even though I've been painting for so long, you have to just sit and draw, read, listen, sketch, make notes, and just keep pushing through, and just force yourself to get in the studio and just make art. And even if it turns out rubbish, you have to go through that process to get to the good stuff.
What has been the defining moment of your career so far?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Because I've had a lot of good fortune in my career. I mean, when I was 18, I was about to go to art college and I walked into a gallery with like a little printed portfolio because I'm a millennial and things are printed. And I actually just walked up to the gallery owner and was like, I have some art for you to sell. And he was like, oh, do you? Like, who's this little girl off the street?
Yeah.
And then he looked and he was like, yeah, actually, I think I can work with you. I can sell your work. So that's how I started working with galleries from when I was young. Sometimes you just have to be like bullish and not care what people think and just try. And then I guess when I was younger and I got selected to exhibit in New York, I got an exhibition in Mac Belfast, which is like a big museum. It's kind of hard. Recently, Expo, I did a solo exhibition at Expo 2020.
Amazing.
So that was amazing as well. But yeah, there's been a lot. I feel lucky there's been a lot.
So do you think social media might hurt or support artists?
That's a really good question, because I came from, I studied in London, I exhibited in London, Dublin, New York, so I came from very much like the traditional fine art gallery world, and I've seen the art world change a lot over the last like 10, maybe 15 years with the growth of social media, and I think the art world are a little bit pretentious about like social media artists. They want an artist to be a bit more like pure, like I guess like be in the studio, be in the gallery. And now I can sort of see some contemporary galleries kind of switching their mindset, and they actually do want the artist to be on social media. I think the old school galleries are like, no, like we don't care about social media artists, they don't take seriously. But I think they have to be progressive in this way. I mean, you want your artists to have their own platform as well and have the freedom to say what they want and share what they want, as well as supporting them through like the gallery world too.
Very interesting. So it feels like art is maybe more slow to take on social media in comparison with most other industries.
I think the art world can be a little bit pretentious sometimes in that way, and they want to stay traditional. And I can understand why that is in some ways, but I think compared to other industries, the individual artists have really taken to social media so well. And I know a lot of artists that have built a career and an income without any representation and solely on social media. Even me as well, like I sell pieces directly through my Instagram. I don't run ads or anything yet, but people will just find it organically and then they'll buy a piece, which is great. So, I mean, I'm all for it. Whatever is going to help artists to continue to be creative and earn a living through that creativity.
Interesting. What brought you to Dubai? Was it art?
It was and it wasn't. So I actually wanted to travel. So I had been selling, marketing, exhibiting, and I was like, I kind of want to get to the sunshine. I'd went to Australia and Asia traveling for like a year and a half, and I went back to Ireland and I wasn't coping well with the rain. Yeah. So I actually went, I was like, because I had a reputation at home in the UK and Ireland, but I was like, what could help me travel in any country and still be creative? So I actually went back to college, did a postgraduate in art teaching, and I tried my luck at teaching over here for the first time. So an interesting journey. I came firstly to Abu Dhabi, had my first teaching job, and it taught me a lot. It was very interesting. It taught you how to manage a million things at once, how to communicate, how to teach. But when I was teaching, I recognised very quickly that there were a lot of opportunities in this country. So I went back to painting and exhibiting, and then I founded my event company, Design and Dine, which I was able to do through all of my teaching skills. So yeah, I quit teaching after a couple of years and decided to grow my art studio business and my event company as well.
Amazing. So you grew up in Ireland and you moved 10 years ago to Dubai.
Yeah.
How would you as an artist compare the art scene here in Dubai to Ireland?
It is very different. There's a lot of like grassroots initiatives in Ireland and a lot of very talented artists. But what I would say is like it's a little bit more limited in terms of like resources, funding and opportunity. Whereas like as we know, the UAE is just if you have an idea, you can do it here. So although the art world here is very new, there's a lot more opportunity. So if anybody's thinking about it, I would definitely consider it.
Crack the seed, you know, start it because it's not really, we don't have a lot of art scene here.
Yeah, it's very new, but that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I actually got appointed as the arts officer for Dubai Irish Society last year, and I created a show at Courtyard Gallery, and it was the first show exclusively of Irish artists, so that had never happened before in this country, which is crazy, but that's how new the industry is. So, and yeah, the gallery that we worked with were super supportive. We had support from like different funding and everything, so it was great.
While we have you here, can you tell us a little bit about your, let's say, for example, your design business, your Design and Dine, and everything else that you're working on?
Yeah, so Design and Dine I founded back at the start of 2016. And I did it as a hobby, to be honest, because I was in the school teaching at the time. And one of my colleagues had actually said, can you do like an art class for us teachers? Yeah. First of all, I was like, no, I'm so busy, like I don't want to. And then she was like, come on, please. We see all the paintings that you're doing for the kids. Like, we would love to learn how to paint. Yeah. So I was like, okay, do you know what? Let's do it. But I don't want it to be in the classroom or the school. I want everyone to really have fun. Yeah, so I'm going to take you out of the school and we're going to go somewhere and we're going to have like some food and drinks. I'm going to play music and we're going to make it really fun.
Get in the mood.
Yeah, and a friend of mine, an Irish guy as well, he was a hotel manager, so I pitched the idea to him and he was like, that's an amazing idea. And I was like, okay, and I brainstormed and I was like, I'll call it Design and Dine, and it was just like a little social group. The first event had 14 guests and a couple of months later we were at 100 guests every month selling out through just like word of mouth and like organic marketing. So that was kind of when I realised, you know what, this is so much fun. Like, and what I really love about teaching adults is like everyone has this self-belief that they're not creative or they're not good at art. I don't know where that comes from, but 99% of people that come in to Design and Dine are like, Gemma, I can't draw a stick man, I can't paint. Like, they're just like letting me know that like to lower your expectations.
Imagine, yeah.
And I'm like, no, everyone can. It's like our human nature to be creative. It's our human nature to make art. You just need like the right environment and the right guidance. So that's what I try to create with Design and Dine.
So how can people join the next event if they want to?
Yeah, so we're very active on Instagram. It's at designanddine.ae. And we post all our events there. We've actually just partnered with 1964 at McGettigan's Souk Madinat Jumeirah to do a weekly event. So if anybody wants to come paint this week, we'll be at Souk Madinat 1964 from 3 to 5 p.m. But yeah, we do a lot of corporate events and team building. So any of the companies out in Dubai that want to actually bring their team together to create and connect and have fun, we do a lot of that as well.
Really nice. Do you believe in manifestation? And if so, what's on your vision board?
I do, big time. And I feel like I'm a good manifester because I have an idea. And to manifest actually just means to make something happen, to bring it from the vision in your head into reality. So I've done a lot of manifesting, and actually at Design and Dine retreat days, we do retreats a couple of times a year where we do like mindful painting, yoga, meditation, visualization, vision boards and all that. So my vision board has a solo exhibition, a solo art exhibition. So any galleries out there, get in touch because that needs to happen. That needs to happen this year. I have me gigging as a DJ because I've started learning how to DJ. Yes, so that's on my vision board as well. I I had a ski trip, but I actually got a ski trip in already, so that came true. But yeah, I think growing my career as a painter, continuing that, because Design and Dye, we've been so successful. We're the leading painting event in the UAE. We're looking to expand to Saudi. We also have a team in Ireland, so that's going really well. And I feel like this real strong pull to get back to my own art practice a little bit more as well. So that's like number one.
Exciting.
So if you could go back to your early career self, what advice would you give?
God, that's a good question. I think I would just be a little bit more forthright about making work without fear. So, you know, just like experimenting, being more bold. I think I did that to an extent, but really to push the boundaries for myself without worrying too much about like what other people think, because I think when you're authentic as an artist, people will appreciate it. So you just keep pushing in the right direction, and probably to travel a little bit more like earlier on.
Great advice to leave it at. If people are watching now and they want to find you and they have some questions, how can they do so?
Yeah, so my own handle is at gem_artist on Instagram. Designanddye.ie is the event company, and my website is gemmagallagherart.com.
Gemma Gallagher, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, it's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Massa.
Thank you, Casey.
And that brings us to the end of the Lovin Dubai show. We're back with you every single weekday morning, same time, same place. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.